What does God look like? What do you see?
We're solar-powered biological AI.
Wait, what?
These ancient adversarial entities, I think it's the very same ones that rebelled against God and were cast out.
They were sent here to guide us in antiquity, and they took advantage of that and just masqueraded as gods.
What the fuck is going on, everybody? Good evening and welcome back to the Gray Pill Podcast. There is that air horn, a little better late than never, I always say. I look so young in that intro. Need to maybe redo maybe a second intro. We still use that one, but we can go back and forth. Anyway, like I said, good evening, guys. It's almost the weekend. Welcome to Gray Pilled. I am your host, Jules. Tonight, we have a banger of an episode for you. So I'm filming myself today. I got new tires on the Jeep, having a couple beers. We're in there. But before we get started to introduce all our guests, you could say our panel of guests, go ahead and like the stream, please. Like it. Probably have a few people watching. We need that immediate, amount of likes. So go ahead and like the stream, share it, get some more people in here. Tonight, I have joining me a few people, a couple groups of people you're probably familiar with. First, we have the Occult Rejects in the building. Guys, what's going on? Headless Giant, Ethan Indigo, and Nick. What's going on, guys? Y'all doing all right tonight?
Oh, yeah.
Y'all hear me? Hey, what's up? How y'all doing?
We're here. Salute to everybody.
What's up? How's it going? That was a great intro, sir. Thank you.
Well, yeah. Well, our main guest of the evening, figured we go ahead and get him on. Been meaning to book him on the Occult Rejects as well. Haven't seen one of them in a minute, but he's back and he's brought his new co-host and a new friend of the show. Guys, Jonathan and Sean from Meta Mystics. What is going on, fellas? How we doing tonight?
What's going on, my dude? Happy to be here.
Good, man. Good. I'm glad y'all are you finally decided to book with me. Like I said, it's been a little over a year, I guess, since we last spoke to each other. So what's going on, man?
Oh, you can't hear nothing. Oh.
Can't hear him?
You can't hear me?
Okay, now I can hear you. For some reason, I
shit,
can't hear anything.
Dude, I was
for a
like, dude, am I losing my mind?
I still can't hear you talking, Jules.
Seriously?
You.
Wow.
You can't hear Jules?
Oh my gosh.
That's happened
I'm gonna
before.
translate.
Dude, this
happened before.
Yeah, it's happened to me on my end on StreamYard.
What's that?
What about now?
What about now? Nope.
Can you
I
hear me
can
now?
hear everybody. I can hear everybody.
I can hear everyone too.
Yeah, I can only hear the Headless Giant and Sean. That's it.
You can't hear me?
no.
Shit. So could nobody hear me?
I can.
Oh, I got
I
you.
can hear you,
I
Jules.
got you.
Fucking
Okay,
StreamYard,
what about
dude.
the whole intro I just did?
I heard it.
Hold on.
I heard it.
Gonna say, man, if I've done that before where I did like 5 to 10 minutes of like monologuing and it was just like, wait,
Right. So
I'm on
frustrating.
Right?
yeah, no, okay. So
I'm just gonna repeat
What's up,
everything
Doc?
you say, and then he's gonna hear you through me. Okay. So we're gonna telephone the whole episode.
I'm not
Dude,
too
I
familiar
heard
with
just
this
silence for a
platform,
second.
so
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump out and then I'll rejoin. Maybe that'll kickstart it or
yeah.
something.
Hop out, come back in.
I just heard today that Google is actively trying to make their search engine worse because they figure it'll keep more people on the search engine looking for the results.
Dude, it's
Well, the
making it
AI
worse.
has just
They're
made
doing
it
that with
made
all of
it
these
so
apps.
crappy.
Oh, dude, it's what I've been talking about. They tell us they're advancing in technology. You know, they have all this. No, they tell us one thing, they do the other. It's one of the biggest psyops out there. Sean, what's up, dude? How you
What's
doing?
going on, man? Nice to meet you, man. I'm
It's
really
good to
happy to
meet
be
you.
here.
Yeah, yeah, brother.
I think we would have come on a lot sooner, but we just been banging out episodes left and right, and I still have a full-time job, because the bills need to be paid. But yeah, dude, I'm really happy to be here, man. And Jonathan's always got some really fun topics, how he does, and so the things that we've been really looking into, man, is just, oh man, it's kind of across the board, but we go into a lot of the occult, we go into just the powers of the mind. I mean, we're across the board. And so yeah, I'm really excited to have this talk with you guys.
Hell yeah, brother. When did y'all start the podcast together?
Oh, it's been about 2.5 years now. And dude, I can't even tell you just how much I feel like I have changed as a person. And that, of course, the things that we talk about is very deep and very personal. Like we're talking about a spiritual journey and all of this.
Absolutely.
But I even think podcasting in general has its own benefits as far as, just being able to talk to people and kind of be open, because if let's be honest, most people aren't just having these open conversations with people, especially strangers. And so I've never met any of you guys, and here we are having a conversation, and I'm sure it's going to get super deep, and we're going to really understand each other and become friends,
Well, that's what this is all about, dude.
Mhm.
And I think people don't realize, like, as we get into these deep esoteric topics, learning about the occult and everything that comes with it. John, what's up? You good, bud?
All right, I'm back in here.
Good
I
deal.
think
Good
I messed up because I tried doing it on DuckDuckGo and I knew that only Google is good for this. So
Yeah, Google Chrome's the best, I think.
all right,
But
we're back up in here then.
What I was saying was it's like a spiritual journey,
Mhm.
and I don't think people realize that. And the audience, I think, goes on a spiritual journey as well.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
And
and
so-
that's the thing that we're really trying to get to the bottom of. So many of us, have lived such a surface level life, even if you know it or not. I believe we are operating through the means of our subconscious mind. And there's so many things that we are doing. We're so reactionary, I feel like, or we choose sides so quickly. We tend to observe mostly the extremes of things, and so just everything that we are coming to understand, all is mind. And there are so many different philosophies that we kind of really vibe with. We're more of an eclectic type of podcast. We don't just say, okay, well, this is what it is, and everything else is bullshit. It's like we pick, okay, we really like what this is saying, and I can apply this to my life.
yes,
Rather than saying, well,
this is happening in real time and I'm experiencing it, other
I'm
than what's being fed and told to me and what I'm supposed to believe. Dude,
yes, yeah, you're no longer part of the hive mind. You're now your
Yeah.
own individual, having your very individual experience. And dude, I can't tell you just how magical that starts to feel when you're actually very immersed in this reality. You know what I mean? And so
Absolutely.
as opposed to just having the surface level experiences, just kind of doing what everybody else is doing, getting along to, I just feel like, we need to kind of shake out of that. That's the illusion. That's the matrix. That's our own mind has so many obstacles, that we kind of place there ourselves, so whether you believe it or not, we are kind of programmed in a way. But the good news is we can reprogram, we can find those things. We can go into the shadow. And but yeah, I don't want to go too far into it, but yeah, there's so many things that we're coming to understand. And let me tell you, just in the last 2 years, I'm not even really the same person, just
me either, man.
applying all of these things.
I don't
So,
think
but yeah,
I don't think any of us are. Okay, so I don't want to be rude. Let me introduce our other friends here with us tonight, the Occult Rejects, Nick, Ethan, Headless. Guys, for people who don't know who you are, let them know where they can find you and what you do, because you guys are as much of a part of this conversation tonight as Sean and Jonathan.
Here you go, Headless.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah. So you can find me at the Headless Giant on YouTube and on X on Instagram as well, and sometimes I post there. I talk about a lot of the kind of stuff that, it's fringe, it's cutting edge, but magic has always been fringe and cutting edge. Occultism has kind of always been fringe and cutting edge, and the symbols that we find in ancient history are just sort of like manifesting over and over and over again, all throughout these different motifs throughout history. And it's not a coincidence that it's taking place, right now on the internet. So we're sort of expressions of that nonstop cycle of ideas and symbols all coming together to tell a new story.
Absolutely, dude. I agree with you. Ethan.
Well, peace, you guys. That was awesome. What you just said, Sean. And
I was going to say, Sean, yeah, what you just
that.
said, I think we all really resonated with.
Yeah,
I appreciate that.
And it hits home with what a lot of us have been talking about lately. So,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's good to meet both you guys, Jonathan and Sean and Jules. Thanks for putting this together. Nick, Headless.
it's your
thank
first
you.
time on Gray Pilled. Like, I think it's your first time coming
think
on
so.
my
I think
stream.
so.
We've been on like 20 streams together, but
I kind of forget because I watch your show frequently, so I synthesize.
man.
Felt like he was there.
You flatter me. Don't know.
Well, I'm just saying, it's an honor to be here, and thanks for putting it together. Ethan Indigo Smith, I write frequently, author infrequently, and I like to learn. I've learned so much in trying to keep up with the crew on the esoteric knowledge that the Occult Rejects and all the guests bring. So I really enjoy learning and sharing. So appreciate everybody.
And Nick.
Thank you very much for having me on. I was looking forward to talking to these guys. I think I spoke to Jonathan probably about 6 months ago. I was like, "Oh, I got to get you on the show." And just fucking. That seems to be what happens every time I hit you guys up. Anyway, I ask you about coming on, and then we don't make the plans until like months later. But finally made it happen.
Anyway,
yeah, honestly, I think we're just both busy. So I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, it's good to be on here. We got the Occult Rejects. That's on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, all major podcasts, and yeah. I'm looking forward to this. I would assume this should be a very open and interesting discussion. And I assume maybe, Jonathan, you have the same mind as me that not everything is dicks and demons. So
I get so tired of it, dude. It's
it's fucking yeah.
It works me so hard because I'm just like dude, how easy is it to just call something demonic and don't even pay any more mind to it? It's the easiest like cop out that has ever existed.
Immediate dismissal of any notion of it, right? It's like, oh, well, that's out. And it's like anything associated with, but the thing that you run into, especially in the conspiracy community, people start to contradict themselves, right? A lot of the times that's what happens. You run into these things and it's like, well, dude, I mean, you can't, is it this or is it this? Did the chicken come before the egg or the egg come before the chicken?
Oh, dude, that's why I had to focus and put all my effort and energy into metamystics, and I stepped away from the cult of conspiracy.
So you were doing this while you were doing cult. So you started this 2 years ago, right?
2.5, something like that.
You've been doing cult for
like 5.5 years.
Right. Because I just had Jacob and Raven on like a few days before Christmas. It was a pretty fun show. We had a pretty good time, but yeah, there were some things he was talking about that I didn't agree with. I didn't push back because I had them on as guests and I wanted to have a good time. And I think we established that, and there was a lot that we did agree on, right? So I really wanted to focus on that at the time, but there was a lot of stuff that I didn't fully agree with them on. So I kind of understand that you wanted to branch off and do your own thing. You're on your own path and your own walk and your own faith, right?
Yeah. I mean, I love Jacob, love Raven. A lot of people think that there was like a falling out. There wasn't. I mean, I still go on the cult live shows. I still go on the cult live shows just about every Tuesday night. And we talk every day and everything. It wasn't anything like that. the way I see it is that I feel like conspiracies were creating more of a divide, and that is the exact opposite of what I'm trying to accomplish, at least in my own personal life. I don't want to look at everything as if it is evil and dark and satanic.
Yes.
I would much rather focus on the things that I have the ability to change, and mainly the main thing that we're finding out about the things that we can change is just our own perspective of this life in general.
Dude, and it's like that perspective is everything. It's key. And when you come into it with the perspective of, oh shit, that's all evil. Oh, these are all demons. And not even understanding the culture, or I mean, you can even go back to saying these people who were writing these ancient texts, that we've been given and told to believe wholeheartedly, that like, did they even understand what they were writing down?
I think that it most of the time it's the other way around, that the people interpreting the messages tend to fuck it up more times than not, and don't question a lot of things. You look at it from one point of view. Most people, unfortunately, look at a lot of ancient texts in the literal sense, and that is the exact opposite way that you should be viewing it. And I got a lot of flack. Like 3 or 4 months ago, I did a show on the Cult of Conspiracy where I said Noah's Ark and I said the flood and Nephilim are both fake and gay, and I tried to show in what ways they were both fake and possibly gay. Not sure. They were probably created potentially gay. I'm not sure yet, right. But definitely fake. Not saying that floods around the world don't happen, but the idea of a global flood makes no damn sense. There's not enough water in out in the oceans. There's not enough water that is under the land. It wouldn't make any damn sense. And so I started breaking it down in that way. Then I got into about how about how Noah's Ark, that makes no sense, because they said that, well, it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. All he had to do was just float for 40 days and 40 nights. He couldn't get off that fucking boat for a year. Literally had to wait until the water went down for a year. So you're on with 2 of every kind. What are you doing with all the shit? How are you feeding them all? How are people not coming down with some kind of sickness being around all that filth all the time? And it literally makes no sense. However, if you look at it from an allegorical sense, it starts to make a little bit more sense. And that's what I was trying to show. And the same thing goes for the Nephilim. The Nephilim, it was, what was it? Genesis 6, right? Everybody that loves Nephilim, they always bring up Gen 6. And I'm like, man, if you just read it, the main line where they first mention about the Nephilim is nestled in between 2 lines of man falling and succumbing to his human nature. And somehow people are like, well, no, that was the Nephilim that did that. I'm like, it literally says the Son of Man right here, and then the Nephilim, and then the Son of Man. It's like, I think that these are allegories for the fallen nature of man.
Oh, dude.
You're speaking to my soul.
I'm sorry, I just don't believe that there were, descended devils coming and fucking.
Also,
it just makes
you
no
have to
sense.
look at who's writing these.
That makes a better story, though, bro. That sells so much more.
I
It's
guess
provocative.
So.
It gets the people going.
I wish Avatar was like Avatar seems awesome. I want to go into that world. I can't.
Right. Well, where you first went wrong there was the fact that you started asking questions. That's where you done fucked up.
We don't ask questions
Don't
here,
do
Jonathan.
that.
Okay.
All right. Have the mind of a child, but don't be
Grayfield.
curious.
To my detriment.
And it's not to say that all these the people that believe in the literal stories are, special in any kind of way. It's just that there, I believe, are stages of understanding. There's stages of gnosis, there's stages of awakening. There is depth to every single one of these stories. And so, but just to take them at face value and literal, I'm like, dude, you're wandering in the desert, bro. You're lost. Sorry. You're not gaining anything from taking these stories literal.
On that note,
what's up,
I wanted to show this one off. This is the Adam and Eve cylinder seal, which was an Akkadian imprint that they would put on these clay tablets, right? So it's a cylinder seal that has the image of what looks to be Adam and Eve in this garden with the snake right here, tempting. And this is early Akkadian, so this is way before Adam and Eve was ever written down. And so this shouldn't be existing, but they found this back in the 1850s, and it was like, actually, no, this is a banquet scene. So they really kind of perverted it a little bit more, and they said this was a banquet scene. But what's funny about that is they would show a banquet scene like this to show opulence of the Akkadian Empire. And so they're showing this off because these cylinder seals would be used to put branding on different products that were sent from Acadia. So this was like a commercial. Our history with Adam and Eve could come from a commercial, ancient advertisement.
I see what you're saying. I see exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's some sort of beer company.
What the hell, dude? It's like early branding.
Yeah,
It is.
What the fuck? So was this? I mean, because well, we see the serpent right there. Is that the mark? Is that I don't know.
Yeah, but see,
How we know
still
who?
don't like this version. They took out the second snake, and then it makes it.
Where is it? Yeah, I was gonna say, where is the second?
You can see the second snake when you keep rolling it, because that snake will show up again. If you look at the seals on the side there, you just roll it a little bit
that
more.
one is even tied to it.
I forget of
This one's
the
even
shape.
different. Like that one even ties to the guy's chair. The other one doesn't. It's loose. Like I would even say that could even mean something.
And
yeah, you have to really look
that out.
at a lot of these ancient cylinder seals, dude, and there's a lot of details in there that if you notice, some of them have one watch, some of them have two watches, and it's usually like Inki or Enlil or El. And
that's the thing about these cylinder seals, is that they were all different. These different artists would be making them over and over again when they would wear out or fail. So like they had all these different motifs that they would repeat over and over again, and you could find those motifs sort of in story form in the Bible in some places. These were also, kind of religious, because each one of these city-states had their gods and goddesses in these seals as part of, telling who they were. That was a very common thing.
Yeah, the way I see a lot of these things, the Bible, and especially looking into the Akkadian and the Mesopotamian, a lot of the Egyptian stories, and many more, it seems like the Bible is damn near nothing more than an amalgamation of a bunch of ancient stories that they then demonize themselves. And it's just crazy. Even to go out on the limb and say that the Gnostic teachings were heretical is crazy, because a lot of Jesus is, I'm not talking about what people said about Jesus. I'm not even talking about don't get me started on Paul's version of Jesus, but going into all of what Jesus was saying in the actual, like the letters in red in the four main gospels, it is pretty damn close to what he's saying in the Gnostic teachings, from what I can understand, what I can get together. It seems very, very similar. But then you start adding Paul's stink to it, and you start adding everybody else's stink to it, and I don't know, man. It's just kind of crazy.
Yeah. You have. Oh, sorry.
And well, I was just going to say real quick in regards to the Noah story, and often in looking at like the esoteric or allegorical meaning of biblical and other religious or spiritual ideas, the numbering, I think, is really hints at what's going on. And there are a number of stories in the Bible that pertain to the 40 days, which I believe I see as an initiatory phase.
The 4-0.
And it's the 4-0. It's also, which relates to the Tetragrammaton, the 4 and the 10. But there's a bunch of stories, 40 days. And so if we look at it literally,
Jesus, yeah.
If we look at it literally, we say, oh, I wonder how long or I wonder what it would be like if it rained that long. But if we look at the allegory, then we find maybe deeper inspiration. Often the number hints at it, I find.
Well, Moses was 40 years, but still the 40's there, right?
Well, just to put a fine point on it, I got a slide I wanted to show you real quick.
Yeah.
So this is from Tertullian, right? So Tertullian strongly condemned the Mithras cult, right? So he portrayed the cult as a demonic parody of Christianity. He's saying that it's a copy of Christianity, but we know for a fact that Mithraism came before Christianity. From the archaeological record, it dates to before, 0 AD. So what we do know is that they probably took a lot from the mystery cults, and they were putting that accusation back at the mystery cults for being a copy when they were actually the ones doing the copying.
Which
Right.
is extra interesting, especially whenever Jesus is gone for 17 or 18 years, and he comes back in an initiate's robe, and he's
Right.
like going around healing people and telling them. It's like, bro went and got initiated. He came back, and nobody thought anything was very strange about that.
Came back with some gnosis, man. You know.
I say it all the time. I'm like, he comes back in the robes of an initiate, riding on a donkey. Like all these details, and then he goes, if you read it, because I mean, I don't know. There's certain ways to read certain parts of the Bible, right? In my opinion, and it really opens up what's really going on. I've had a couple people on to discuss it, especially with astrotheology, and that stuff is still kind of beyond me. It's something I still don't really have a full grasp on. Yep. Yeah. But it's like all these stories that you see happening in this book have happened in the heavens during, this certain year. There is a certain constellation that crossed, or like, something. And then,
Dude, you have Micah Dank on for that conversation.
What's up?
You said for the astrotheology conversation, and Micah Dank is the shit.
I had Mike on. That is who first woke me up to that. I was like, oh wow. Every single story that I was like, what about this and this? And he's like, yeah. And I'm just like, oh dude. Yeah, it is quite fascinating, man.
Right. Donkeys are symbols of initiation.
Talk about it, Headless. Come on, let's go. Golden ass.
No, I mean, it's commonly accepted among all of these different mystery cults to have a donkey as a symbol of the initiate, right? So there's the golden ass, right? But there's also a lot of this archaeology that points back to it as well. That's the common link between the golden ass and the Bible, because you've got a donkey with Moses, right? Moses is riding around on a donkey. And having he is.
I didn't know that.
Right. Oh, it gets stranger. And the third son of Adam and Eve. Does anybody know the third son of Adam and Eve? Seth, right?
Right.
And Seth is the donkey-headed god.
I know where you're going.
Egypt, which is funny because there was a group of people that actually worshipped Seth, and they were called the Hyksos. And the Hyksos people actually ruled over Egypt for a while, and there was something written about that in the 3rd century AD. So it was very, very far removed from it. But they were talking about how these Hyksos went around smashing people's idols and being very cruel,
particularly
to children and these other things. The way it kind of seems like in the Bible about this sort of group of people, but it wasn't. They didn't call them the Jews; they called them the Hyksos, and then they came out of Egypt when one of the Egyptians decided that he was going to become their king and lead them out of Egypt. It's really strange, but his name wasn't Moses. That was the difference in the account.
What was his name? Do you know his name?
I'd have to look it up again, but
I can look it up if you'd like me to.
But it is interesting that,
Manetho is the name.
So it does start with an M.
But even just the story of Set in general, about like how he just completely decimated Osiris, sent him into the underworld and all this other shit. It's like it's pretty crazy. And then what's his name? His son, Osiris's son, the
Horus.
name is escaping me. Horus. Goes and fights him, and whole great thing. But it is interesting how you just change a couple of letters and you change a couple of the assets of the story, and all of a sudden this is an original,
right?
I mean,
Diodorus of Sicily talks about how during the reign of Antiochus IV, right, he went into the temple and pulled out all of their treasures, and one of the treasures at the heart of the second temple was this giant donkey head. It was a golden donkey head that they had inside of the second temple. So that was one of the things he pulled out. He was also kind of interesting because he sprayed pig's blood all over the second temple. And this was the abomination desolation that they talk about in the book of Daniel. And Daniel chapter 11 talks about Antiochus IV invading Egypt. And they're very, very detailed about it. And it's assumed that the Bible was being written at the time of Antiochus's attack on the second temple because of how accurate the prophecies are, only up until the certain point, which is Daniel chapter 11. They don't get very accurate after Daniel chapter 11. It's all just vague, right? So they're assuming that that's what happened, is they were writing the book at that same time, and these other prophecies never really came to pass. So it's kind of writing back the prophecies from a much later date during the writing of the Septuagint. So if that's the case, this is like a historical fraud in some cases, because they keep projecting out this prophecy further and further into the future as a means of, maintaining control.
Yeah.
My God. We just actually, a recent episode of ours, we just covered like ancient baptism, essentially, like what could be the root of baptism.
The drowning and the
So good.
resuscitation.
So
I mean,
good,
even way before that, just death before death, these death initiations that they would have to do. And,
3 days in the tomb, baby.
the gnosis that you would get once you die, or you think you're about to die, and a lot of people would say that, people died inside and they were buried inside the pyramids and stuff like that. It's like, no, these were initiation chambers. This is where they practiced a lot of it. And then you go into the cave symbolism about like what happens inside of a cave, and you start losing a little bit of air, a little bit CO2.
Then you're in darkness, which is symbolizes ignorance, right? And then you are reborn into light and truth.
Symbolic of a womb in that sense.
Yeah, dude, very much so. And people are like, well, 3 days in the tomb, is that a literal tomb or is it a symbolic? It's like, it could be both, could be both of the same, could be either one. It doesn't really matter. You're going through that process.
The Hawara Labyrinth.
What is this?
Have you guys ever heard of the Hawara Labyrinth?
Mm-mm.
So Herodotus mentions this mystery school in Egypt that all of the major philosophers went down to, and they actually found it. It's 2 football fields wide underneath the ground. It's underneath this giant slab of rock, and they found it using ground penetrating radar, but they haven't actually gotten into it yet. So it's still, you're going to love this if you guys haven't heard of this. So this is ground zero for the mystery schools, right? It's Herodotus described the legendary labyrinth of Hawara, a massive complex structure near Amenhotep III's pyramid in Egypt, renowned for its thousands of chambers and courts. I can't zoom in, but this was found with ground penetrating radar in 2015, and they haven't opened it up yet.
Wow.
Holy shit.
How old are they saying that this place is, though?
No clue. This could be one of the most ancient sites on the planet. If you think about how far back
this is next to the pyramids underground,
it's right under it's right under the vent.
That's the halls of Amenti, dude. Has to be Amenti. Like, well, I think it's a place like an Akashic realm kind of, but I also think that there was like these chambers. There were these chambers that Hermes Trismegistus or Thoth, right? This head initiate would take his students into, and they would all go into this realm together. And in that realm, you could learn about the ancient past. You could contact, but you could basically be reborn. You could regenerate down in this chamber. There was something.
Asclepius had the Asclepion, where you would actually sleep inside of the basement of the temple, so that you would get visions of the goddess Hygeia. One of the daughters of Asclepius would come and visit you in these visions. And
is the temple charging the energy?
Yeah, that's all part of the ritual. They would release snakes down in the ground. Like, again, you go into the womb of the mother and then come out reborn.
That's in the palm of Sabazius, dude.
All the Asclepiad in Jerusalem is where Jesus was baptized.
Oh,
At the Asclepiad.
Well, then you cut to today, and people sprinkle a little bit of water on your head and say you're saved. You know.
Yep.
It's just crazy. It's all completely symbolic, and nobody really gets it. It's more of just a more of a listening like we do in school, and less of an experiencing.
Well, it was part of a much bigger ritual that involved a lot of the dieting and all these other rituals leading up to an event. So at the Asclepiad, you would have to fast, for instance, and do ritual baths every day so that you could get your dream. Like, this was all leading up to it. Well, they preserved some of that, but it's sort of out of order and out of sync with the rest of the ritual that would be involved at these other places. And they call Jesus the healer. Like, again, it goes back to this rod of Asclepius, which all of the Israelites looked at in the desert, right? So you have this constant theme, but it's all kind of funhouse mirrored.
Oh, dude, and they went through a lot of steps to achieve like this death experience and rebirth experience. Like, you had to go through separation to where you couldn't be around anybody for a very long time. You had to purify yourself through like water rites. You couldn't have sex. You couldn't even talk. It literally, you were trying to cleanse yourself, like, spiritually, in a sense. Then you would have to go and fast, and sometimes up to, like, you would have to fast for weeks leading up to this, and you're just depriving yourself of literally everything. And what that does is that it, and I try to fast as often as possible. It doesn't happen as often. I
do a lot of intermediate fasting.
Yeah, it's really good. And but one of the benefits of fasting is that it increases your neuroplasticity. So now it's almost setting you up for this like divine experience for your mind to even be able to handle what the hell's going on. So you go through the separation and the purification, the fasting, the deprivation, and then you get into an altered state induction, which is very interesting because especially inside of a temple or a cave or anything like that, is, you think about it, you're deep within the chambers. Hypoxia is going to start to set in. You're already starting to trip. Like, you haven't even done anything yet. Sometimes they would administer entheogens, and that's debated one way or another, but obviously 100% Egyptian. We're doing Blue Lotus, different shamans around the world. We're doing, certain DMT mixtures and whatnot. But, and then don't forget about the ergots at the bottom of the chalices that have been found, right?
And these chambers all have very specific shapes that go straight along with the frequencies of the instruments that are being played inside of them. Music is a huge factor. Frequency and changing a person's perspective through frequency is what a lot of this comes down to. You can see this in the barrows too, all over Europe.
Dude, you would have people literally, so you'd be enclosed inside of this tomb, right? And you're experiencing hypoxia. You haven't eaten anything. You haven't even seen anybody. You're basically just accustomed to the darkness, like you're fucking Bane, right? And literally, you're just completely out of the loop of just reality in general. And then you're laid inside of this casket. It's closed. You can't breathe. And then you got all these different initiates, priestesses and whatnot, pastors or whatever the fuck they called them, that are all walking around and they're chanting the entire time while you're having this hallucination. And in your mind, you think that you're about to go through death. Like, you think that you're literally about to die. A lot of these people who are trying to become initiated thought that literally death was a part of the process. And so you think about that fear and all of those hormones and all the cortisol and all this other shit is racing through your body, and it's almost simulating a near-death experience. And anybody that has ever come from the other side of a near-death experience, or maybe you had like a crazy psychedelic trip where you thought that you died or you had an ego death, you are looking at the world in an entirely different way. It is no longer just normal reality. You can't look at it that way anymore. It is completely different. Yeah. So it's all about being initiated and seeing the world for what it is, which, according to the Gnostics, they called it Kanoma. The Hindus call it the Maya, right? It's it's all just one big ass illusion, really.
Yeah, man. And you experience, I've had both, right? One of those heroic doses, where you come out of it. And then I had like a near-death experience, quite literally. And didn't come back like learning anything spectacular but I think there are cases where people do have these experiences, and it's like they go through this process of almost experiencing death completely, but they don't. And so when they come back, they have there's like a new sense of clairvoyancy, or they're imbued with like a gift almost, or some kind of
there's a new skill involved.
Yeah.
We've actually had a guy on. His name was David Ditchfield, and he had a near-death experience, and he came back all of a sudden, like just being able to make and conduct music, and like paint and do all of this art and everything else. All of
Like
these things
symphonies.
that he had never done before, but now he's doing it at like a professional level. And so it's like, where did that come from?
On a similar note, though, the ancient peoples had guides when they crossed over to the other side. We could see this in the psychopomp aspects of Hermes, right? So these guides were the gods, and the gods were their guides. So they had a constant conversation going on between them and these different forces that they recognized through the symbols that they would see from the other side. Like, these were interactions. That's why they created these motifs, and that's why it was so ever present in their cultures, because these were the things they saw and brought back with them, and this is what they transferred over to their people as these art motifs. And those symbols were supposed to elevate as opposed to sort of tearing down. It's a big difference between seeing the cult symbols of early Greece and versus the more grandiose kind of death scenes of Christianity. It's one's sort of supporting life, and the other one's it's just the documentation or the display of a death.
100%.
Absolutely. And the point of all of those death rituals really was to have that transformation. You have that experience. You're literally having your own visceral experience. And so when you come out of there, maybe you're not even saying the same thing that other people were saying that they saw, but the experience you had was so true and so real. Nobody can talk you out of that. Same thing with having some sort of spiritual awakening, or, all truths are but half truths, right? And so my truth probably isn't your truth, but the experiences I have, and I've tried. There's been times where I've tried to like talk it away, like, okay, I'm making a lot of this up, like I know I'm having the experience, but something inside of me is like, maybe it's just a dreamlike state or whatever, and my brain is kind of making things up. But there are certain things that have happened that seem so outside of the realm of what I would normally consider something that I can even come up with to begin with, and it's so out of nowhere, and it's almost like startling. And so like that
comes from somewhere, dude.
Yeah, those types of experiences, man, are just so like, I don't know, outside of what you would call normal, dude. And so after you experience that, you can't go back. You can't just say, okay, I'm just gonna, do some normal shit now. You know what I mean? You're now transformed. And that was the point of the baptism, or the death and rebirth. Not to say, okay, now you're a worshiper of so and so, and this is what you should believe, or else. You know what I'm saying? It's just so backwards, I think.
Which is a perfect segue into what we're going to be talking about today, as far as the Truman Show and the dude. It is
up,
quite,
man? Lay it on me.
It is quite possibly the best modern Gnostic understanding of our age. And it was one of my favorite movies growing up. First of all, love Jim Carrey, still do. I know a lot of people have kind of turned their way.
Dude.
Whatever.
I'm like, Green Men, dude. He's one of the Green Men.
Yeah, dude. One of the trickster, right?
And just the fact that he's in this movie just makes it that much more awesome to me. But he goes through a series of different, like, what the fucks, right? And he's trying to piece it all together. He thinks that maybe he's going a little bit crazy. But it's literally a Gnostic story from start to finish, and the symbolism is all the way there. So I actually have a quote. One of my favorite YouTube channels is called Forbidden Gnosis. So big shout out to them. But I have a quote from him that says, they say that the Truman Show is one of the most precise Gnostic allegories ever put to film. A nearly perfect movie translation of ancient Gnostic texts discovered in Nag Hammadi that describes reality as a prison created by a false god, humanity as divine beings trapped in ignorance, an awakening that is a dangerous process, seeing through the illusion and escaping toward true freedom. Every major element of the film, Christoph as the demiurge, Sea Haven as the material world prison, Truman's glitches and suspicions as Gnosis beginning, Sylvia as Sophia calling from beyond the dome, and Truman's final crossing of the water and ascent through the door as our souls escape from archonic control. It maps directly onto Gnostic cosmology with such precision that it's impossible to believe that it's accidental. This is a deliberate, carefully constructed retelling of the Gnostic spiritual narrative for a modern audience. And once you understand the Gnostic framework, you can never watch the film the same way again. And I tell you what, I watched it today for the first time in a few years, and it fucking hits different, dude.
Today?
Today I watched it again. Yeah, just to brush up on it. And I took a lot of my own notes, like all the way through. I was like, that's symbolic, that's symbolic, that's symbolic. Let me see. Yeah, it got crazy, dude. But so just to get into the false world as it overlays onto Gnosticism, in Gnosticism, the false world is known as the kenoma, which literally translates to emptiness or deficiency. So in Gnostic cosmology, it is the false, hollow realm created by the demiurge and ruled by archons. It is artificial. It's a copy of the divine fullness, otherwise known as the pleroma. It's structured, hierarchical, and it's ruled. It's maintained through ignorance and fear, and only escaped one way, and that is through gnosis, otherwise known as just direct knowing, essentially. So Sea Haven is just this big manufactured world. Obviously, they said that it's one of two things that you can see from space, and comparing it to like the Great Wall of China. And every single part of it is curated. Everybody that works there, everybody that is friend, everybody is just an actor on this film set that is forever.
This is the pleroma for people who aren't familiar.
Damn.
Yeah. This is like what the waves upon waves of angels.
It's kind of funny that it's a dome too, because the dome is kind of a belly or a woman's womb, and the matrix literally means womb.
Well,
right?
we've talked about
That's
this
the
before.
mother.
It also looks like an eye, and Nick especially has referred to like an eye as somewhat of a portal, right? Like into your soul.
Like,
What's that saying? Eyes are the gateways to the soul, or windows to the soul, something. These little like cliche sayings that you hear when you're a kid and stuff, shit's true, man. Like mind over matter. The only thing to fear is fear itself. Like seriously, like all this stuff, people should take more seriously. I try to tell my kids, my son knows.
Oh, dude, whenever I was growing up playing football, my dad was one of my coaches, and he used to always say, the game of football is 90% mental. And I used to think like, I feel like I'm doing it right. Like, why can't I get it? And start to understand it now. I feel like it's 100% mental, and we only perceive the physical.
Oh, dude, that's what I was saying earlier when we first started talking, man, as like that's another one of those perception is reality, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah. People also say like change yourself, change the world. You're not necessarily changing the outside world. You're just changing the way that you are dancing with it now. You're just experiencing it differently. Like yesterday, I was kind of feeling a kind of way, you know what I mean? Like not great. And so like while I was at work, it just felt so much worse, dude. Like I didn't want to be there, dude. I didn't really feel like talking to nobody. Today was a total the yin to that yang. Today was just so much better, and nothing at my job changed. It was damn near the same day. I did everything the same way. The only thing that was different was how I experienced it. And so if everyone can, just do that, Just imagine the world.
It could be a much better place. Yeah, dude. It's all about just changing the mind, otherwise known as repenting, dare I say.
Yes. How dare you?
Yeah.
I wanted to point out that last picture. It is kind of like a circumpunct as well, and it has a series of in geometry terms. It has the point, the lines, and then
When you're talking about the Pleroma picture, the second one I pulled up here. I can pull it back up.
I cut out for a second, but I just wanted to say it's got the points. It's got the circumpunct as the portal as well.
Pull that back up. Yeah, it all absolutely. Well, it's the what's it called? The tabernacle, right? It's that as well. You know, the tent. I'm pretty sure that's how that looks, right?
Wow.
And it's also the candle holder. What's that called?
Absolutely has look at the middle is the flame, dude. That's why it's all heated up, and then you have all the, I mean, it's all hues of the flame, right? It goes back into the Melchizedekian priesthoods and whatnot.
The menorah, that's the word you were searching for.
Menorah, yeah.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Wow, so the menorah probably represents the pleroma, right? Like this depiction of the pleroma.
Yeah, probably. I would imagine.
I mean, it's kind of uncanny.
It's actually like the Babylonian. Well, if you look at the Babylonian version, that's their Kabbalah tree
of the menorah.
Of the menorah, yeah. And
here, let's look it up. I'll look
Kabbalah
it up.
Tree that kind of morphed into a menorah over the separation there. They were very heavily influenced in Babylon.
We were talking about Egypt, and I had this picture pulled up. It was actually of the Last Supper. But if you apparently if we had the tools to scroll in and lighten this up on the back wall, Da Vinci painted it was the eye of Horus that was right above Christ's head. And there's I mean, you can't see it in any of the things on Google. You're not going to be able to, but like when you look, I don't know, I can't remember who it was that did like a breakdown of it about the upside down triangle between Mary and Christ, symbolizing the divine feminine because they had to hide it, right? Then there's the the 30 pieces of silver and the knife behind the back. I think you can see where's that knife? There's a knife somewhere in there. You don't know whose hand it is? I know. I wish I could zoom in more. But the theory that this is actually in the king's chamber, believe it or not, depicted in the king's chamber of the pyramid.
That actually is a pretty strange image when you start looking at all the people and you know what I mean. Like,
yes.
what are some of these people doing? Like, it just looks odd to me.
It's astrotheology. 100%.
Absolutely, Jonathan. I think that's one of the major parts of it.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, look, just getting back to what we were talking about with the Truman Show, I'm just going to go over a couple of the main motifs. So we had the false world, obviously, where he's living. It's a giant construct. Then you have the demiurge, Christoph, which is pretty interesting that his name is Christoph because it's Christ of, from what I was looking into, which basically means just like Christ. So like a duplicate of Christ in a way, which almost is Antichrist if you want to look at it super deep that way. But yeah, this demiurge is the false god. So not like ignorant or anything like that, but he is obsessed with order and he believes that he is the highest authority of all of them. And there's a couple of quotes that we're going to get to as to what Christoph says. It is so spot on that he's the demiurge. It's crazy. Then you also have the archons within the system. So essentially everybody that is in Truman's life is an archon that is trying to just tell him and remind him that this is real. This is reality. You know, you have his best friend saying, look, if it's all fake, then that would mean that I'm fake. That would mean that I'm acting. Right. And so it's just like pulling at your heartstrings but they're all archons. They're all working for one main goal under the demiurge.
I thought it was interesting too. In the beginning of the movie, the friend was like being interviewed. It's like an interview style, and he's like, "Well, yeah, I mean, it's all real. You know, all of the people, everything, it's all real. It's It's just controlled. And I just thought that was like super like, oh
beautiful.
shit.
Yeah.
Everyone's having a very real experience, but it's very much so controlled by, I mean, you name it, whether it's your subconscious mind or the elite or whatever boogeyman you want to, you know what I mean, want to have.
It's
Whoever controls
the
whoever controls the boogeyman, right?
That's right. So then you have Sophia in Gnosticism. Sophia is a divine wisdom. Essentially, she's like divine feminine that is trying to bring back the awakening to the experiencer. So it says that she descends down into the world to try and awaken people from this fake world, right?
Illusion.
But in as Sophia, you have Sylvia, which is the guy or the woman that like he snuck off and had a kiss with, and then allegedly her dad came off and like, you know, took her away and said, "You're not the first. She takes all of her boyfriends down here," just to throw a little salt in the wound. So yeah, I really want to go over just some of my show notes for it, as far as just trying to be able to put all of the different occult pieces together. So the first sign of symbolism that I found in the movie is the neighbor's dog is a Dalmatian, so black and white there, whose name is Pluto, and he's jumping on Truman. And this is symbolic in 3 ways, actually. The black and white colors of the Dalmatian are symbolic of the duality of life. It is the way that the system keeps people under control by giving them the illusion of free will, but they keep themselves self-governed with the illusion of only 2 choices. Also, the dog's name being Pluto, in mythology, Pluto stood for Hades, which is the lord of the underworld. So he's the guardian of death, fear, and the unconscious mind. And to add on top of that even more, it just really reminded me of Pavlov's dog, right? If you ever heard that allegory, right? So it's known as Pavlovian fear anchoring. Which does make sense because Pavlov is most known for his studies where he found that dogs could learn to salivate in response to a neutral stimulus, like a bell, when it was repeatedly paired with food, demonstrating how behaviors can be learned through association. If you ever seen The Office, Dwight Schrute got fooled with that little bell. No?
Yeah.
Being controlled through your fear of death?
Yeah, essentially.
Or fear of hell.
Right.
Fear of what comes after death. I think that's what most people, but I think people can, I mean, do you create that? Like if you fear that your entire life, constantly, do you somehow create this realm where you slip off to when you leave this world because you feared it so much, you know?
I think that's definitely possible. You know what I mean? But the bigger thing I think is more so how you live. You know, I feel like we're all here now. You know what I mean? We're all here. We're supposed to live. We're supposed to, you know, do the things that we love and you know, love others and everything else. And here we all are, not us specifically, but people are just so afraid of everything. You know, I mean, you don't make very good decisions when you're living in fear, but when your entire world lens revolves around the idea of fear and hell and you better be good or else, you know, it's like, I mean, that's not really free will anyways. You know what I mean? It's like, it's this or hell.
If there was no idea of hell, do you think that the fear of death would be different?
Oh, absolutely.
That's the only reason to really fucking fear it, right? Is because you got hell.
We're all going to die. You know, I mean, once you kind of get over that fact, and if you've ever, you know, had certain experiences and experienced certain deaths, you know, then
I think
you kind of know what I'm talking about. But like, you know, I don't know. I don't think it does any good to fear what comes after death.
Imagine the type of dedication to trying to figure out what comes after death for these initiates in the ancient world. I mean,
look, it's fascinating to think about,
to get that close to death and to see the other side. That's an incredible amount of dedication. So yeah, I think it could be empowering or it could be devastating. You know, I mean, you've got one choice or the other. But
how will you handle the knowledge?
Right.
Right.
Fear is crippling, you know, and they say that it keeps you from being able to ascend anywhere. You're not going to have any kind of initiation or ascension or anything like that if you're crippled in fear all the fucking time. And so that's the main goal, you know. It's really just they're trying to convince the people to create their own delusion in their own mind to keep them held down, and it's really strange.
Well, fear. Oh, sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say they're self-policed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. 100%. So yeah, he goes through this classical conditioning, at least in the classical sense, with Pavlov's dog and everything at the beginning. So just moments later, after the dog comes and jumps on him, that's whenever the light falls from the sky onto the ground in front of him, right? The light is labeled Sirius, and Sirius is known as the brightest star in the sky. So in Gnosticism, the sky is known for the false cosmology of the fake reality, of which the Hindus call the Maya, the great illusion. This is the beginning of Truman sensing that something is off about the nature of his reality. And then moments later, Truman is in his car and he's listening to his radio, and the radio says that there was an aircraft flying over Sea Haven, and it started shedding parts, and luckily nobody below was injured. It's like the craziest, like, weird coincidence how that just happens. But next we get to his job. He sits at his
hold
desk.
on. It's Sirius, the dog star, and he's being jumped on by a dog.
God damn! How did I not put that together? Great
And
catch.
the dog star.
Wow.
That's the sun behind the sun. That's what happens in the wintertime is there's an alignment where the sun is traveling in front of the dog star. I think it's in the wintertime. It could be. But the entire Washington, D.C. is set up along the rising of the dog star. It's set up around specifically Sirius. So that Sirius is a big deal. I mean, for the occultists, that's like the astrotheology point right there, Sirius.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, dude. So there's no mistaking that they wrote this specifically for what we're talking about here.
Everything was esoteric about this, dude.
No
so check it out. It gets weirder. Obviously, we're just at the first 3 minutes.
Few minutes.
Let's go, guys. Hey, we're at the top of the hour. Like the stream, share it. We're at 265 people watching. There's more from Rumble. So hell yeah,
dude. So next we get to he's at his job, and he sits at his desk, and the nameplate that's sitting on his desk says his full name, which is Truman Burbank. Okay. And I thought that this was obviously Truman. Okay. You're like, all right, Truman, and he's whatever. Right. But it seems like a normal name until you start breaking into the esoteric symbolism of his name. Truman is obvious, the true human, the divine spark. Right. Mm-hmm. But Burbank is where it starts to get a little wild. So it's symbolic of Burbank, California, where all of the TV shows, manufactured reality, and Hollywood in general are. Right. So it's all in Hollywood with the Burbank. And so it's essentially the epicenter of like scripts and sets and all this stuff. So his name being Truman Burbank literally means man of the studio system, which is fucking crazy.
My God.
Wow. So then comes the second thing, the second time something strange happens to Truman. He's sitting by the beach, and he's contemplating his fear of the water because of where his dad allegedly dies on the boat out there, right? And as he's sitting there, it starts raining only where he is. He moves, the rain follows him. We can look at this moment as Truman beginning to awaken in a sense. So, but when the rain follows him, it's his consciousness that is being tested, that it's not a split second weird one-off thing that happened in a moment that you can just write off. It's following him everywhere that he walks. It's like the first moment of awakening when you start to ask yourself, like, who am I? And why am I noticing this? Why doesn't anybody else notice it? And is there something wrong with me? So once he starts to realize that it begins to rain everywhere, which essentially is kind of symbolic to back to rational thought, back to your.
It wasn't at 33 minutes in the film.
I don't think so. This was like the first 10 minutes, I want to say.
Okay. Just making sure. I didn't know.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to get into the fear as a control mechanism. Obviously, everybody knows that fear controls, right? But water is Truman's primary fear because his father's death, it was just this crazy traumatic thing that happened to him. And so fear keeps him landlocked. He never wants to leave the island. He stays there, and it's built in so that he never wants to leave. And he won't
And
even
at one point, my bad, dude. At one point, he's standing on the dock looking into the water, and he sees the boat submerged, like some old wooden boat just submerged into the water. So not only is it depicting his fear, but it's also kind of telling you that that's kind of wired into his subconscious mind.
Right.
Yo,
Yeah.
and real quick, English gematria, Truman does match Gnostic and Noah's Ark. If that helps or anything.
Really?
Yeah, I was just looking up it now. Something made me think about looking
Wow.
at it.
Interesting.
So the
Adam
boat
Cadman.
matching and Gnostic. That's crazy.
I
No
mean,
such thing as
he
coincidence.
was at the end, the captain of that boat, right? That's how he escaped.
Yeah, dude.
Right?
And so
He had to cross the water. He had to cross what is it, Headless? It's
Cross over death. Well, we
it's
just
the river
we just the river
Styx.
Styx.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
We just got done talking about the symbol of the sand dollar, right? The sand dollar with the pentacle on it. Well, that was a very ancient symbol, and they would use that motif in a lot of their pottery work. And the reason why is because these were seen as like the boundary between death, where the sun would set. That was considered to be the land of the dead. So that would be in the water. And so they believed that the sun would be over in the land of the dead, while it's nighttime here. So there's that idea of death being over the water.
shout
That's
out to the
great,
River
dude.
Styx, dude. We did a meditation on the River Styx, and it was pretty
Oh my
crazy.
god. Oh, dude. I also like to say it's so awesome to have so many of you that really understand a lot of the symbolism and all of that. It's really cool that you guys are catching a lot of this stuff, dude.
This is
It's been
great.
awesome.
No, you guys, well, I don't want to it's Nick's show, but you guys should come on the Occult Rejects because we talk about stuff like this all the time. I mean, as well as on my show, but I have a lot of other shows that I do within Grey Pilled as a whole. So
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Nick, we would love
I've
to.
done plenty of shows with these guys. Yeah, well, at least Jonathan. At least.
Jonathan.
So, yeah.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah, I've actually been doing shows with you for probably like the last 3 years. I probably do 1 or 2 a year.
most of y'all have done stuff.
Oh
with
yeah,
me.
yeah. Me and Teresa
I didn't know that.
times. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm
Yeah.
fucking I'm sorry.
I was
you're
I was,
good.
trying to
I was
remember,
under the
Nick.
impression that y'all
Huh?
had. I don't know, Nick. You hadn't mentioned that to me, and I feel like a doofus now. So
Nick, you're
appreciate that.
What did you say, Jonathan?
Nick, you're prior OTO, right?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure. I had mentioned it in the previous show that me and Sean did because we knew that we were coming on here. We thought that we were jumping onto the Occult Rejects, so I said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna go hang out."
Well, you are anyway. Yeah.
and we're getting he's
You're
former
basically
OTO.
on the Occult Rejects, just on the Grey Pilled StreamYard. Yeah, that's it.
Hell yeah,
And it's
dude.
a Grey Pilled episode. It's episode 131, guys. Almost at 133, confirmed.
Nice.
Yeah, we're getting there.
The guy in the chat,
Well,
Don,
people can call me a Jesuit.
the guy in the chat, Violence is Life 1987, says that Don Davis also pointed out the fossils of sea urchins. That's what I was talking about. The sea urchin is the sand dollar. So
Oh, okay.
very similar.
Oh,
Nice.
shit.
No.
All right. So, all right. So moving on, the next seed of awakening happens as he's walking down the street and he sees his dad who allegedly died. The matrix is starting to crumble. He goes and tells his mom, and then his mom tells his wife, and his wife is obviously part of the matrix, so she's shrugging it off too. But all these seeds are starting to add up. A bunch of little things that are happening that are starting to form this one big thing. The next scene, it jumps to where he met Sylvia. So this is whenever he's like a band guy, and his soon to be wife, the cheerleader Meryl, she likes, I don't know, like twists her ankle and falls into his lap and basically trying to take the attention away. But he locks eyes with Sylvia first, and he knows that something's there. And every chance that he gets, he's trying to come in contact with her, but there's always some kind of obstruction that is preventing this this union from happening until he goes to the library. And in the library, she's on the opposite side of the desk that he's sitting at, and that's where they have this conversation. So he ends up seeing Sylvia in the library, and she's in a rush to take him somewhere now, or else they won't get another opportunity. They sneak off to the beach, and she tells him that his whole reality is fake. It's all scripted, and they're going to come here and get her. So she has to say it quickly. So next, a man comes racing down the beach in his car to get her, and she says they're here. The man gets out of the car, says that he's her dad, and that she's just a schizophrenic, and so don't bother finding her because she's moving to Fiji.
She sounds pretty crazy to me, dude.
Moving to
Right.
Fiji.
Pretty interesting because he's holding up the golf ball and he's talking to his buddy, right, in an earlier scene, and he goes, "I want to get to Fiji. You know where Fiji is? Literally take where we're at, and it is the completely opposite side of the world where we're at. You can't go any farther without making your way back around. Like, it's the perfect distance of as far away as you can possibly be on Earth, right? And so he's like obsessed with this idea of Fiji because he believes that she got taken off to Fiji. So Sylvia is the spark that follows him. She's the reason that he takes action, and at least at a subconscious level has a need for truth. She starts
calling him, right?
What's that?
She starts calling him on a phone, right?
No, she don't call him. She calls the studio once and chews out Kristoff and everything like that. But after the beach scene, they lose contact.
So long, dude.
Well, one thing that I noticed at this point is that the Archons are stupid, and that the hero is smart, right? Like the heroes is seeing through these little phony tricks, like that the Archons are trying to play on them, and you see that same motif over and over again in the ancient sort of Gnostic literatures, that the Archons are stupid and jealous and all these other things, and they keep making these stupid mistakes over and over again that sort of give them away. First one being telling the guy that things exist outside of this island. You didn't have to tell him that at all.
Yep.
You could be the only place in the world. How would he know?
Right. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the Archons are just the puppets of the demiurge, at least in this context. Anyways, they're the shadows on Plato's cave. They're just feeding into the illusion of that reality.
Oh, and how about like
the best that Archons can do is replicate, and that's just how Archontic is acting. So they're all just Archons.
Who would the Aeons be? Like the people working at the studio?
I guess so. Yeah.
Are they above the Archons or are they under?
I actually don't know.
Well, I thought
you have the Archons and the Aeons before you get to the
Aeons are like the retro where the sun is going against the rest of the zodiac. That would be the polar regression or whatever. But the Aeon is like 1,000 or 2,000 years of rotation within a certain given zodiac sign, and then it goes back one, and that would be like the polar regression or something. But that's the Aeon versus the Archons, which would be like the planets.
Interesting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm new to the Aeons. I'm still learning about Gnosticism. I'm still like
me too, dude.
Very new to that. It's hard to follow. Like
there's so many topics that share so many parallels, but at the same time, there's different, so many different things to learn about said topic. So it's hard to keep up with it. But usually it's in the conversation where I learn the most about whatever we're talking about. That or my own research if I go schizo like I'm doing with the Norse pantheon right now and the 9 realms and everything.
We're planning on getting on that.
I'm making a chart right now. It's ridiculous. Sharing it on Patreon this weekend, guys. Tune in to Patreon, patreon.com/Graypill Podcast. Get a sticker pack. Got new stickers. We got. I'm gonna do this real fast for you guys. Sorry. We got Dale Cooper, Graypill Podcast. Dale Cooper says it's good to go. It's damn good, Graypill. Let's see. You got the handsome faggot cowboy hat, whatever. That's what people are calling it. Gods of the Morning Wood. Get you some morning wood.
There you go.
Elohim etymology. We got them reprinted, and then some QR codes, but they're cool QR codes. You got the gray pill in the middle. You can gray pill your friends, your grandma. I would use another word, but we're on YouTube. Anyway, and we're printing more stickers, maybe plus some merch as well. Maybe some Occult Reject stuff. There's like headless giant bookmarks on a website. And we showed him a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Oh, cool." We don't make anything. I think that's like 27 cents. I'll cash app you.
Awesome.
Yeah. Golden ass. Then we got a headless giant. So it's stuff that my co-host of Esoteric Book Review, Gods in the Morning, with Subliminal Messenger and Season of the Rat, but Subliminal Messenger does the stickers and the designs and everything. So shout out, Subby. Thank you, man. Anyway, back to Truman.
All right. So one thing that I found pretty interesting is that Sylvia's real name, like her show name, right? So her real name is Sylvia, but in the movie of the Truman Show, her name is Lauren, right? So so in the Matrix, she's Lauren. Outside of the Matrix, she's Sylvia. Lauren comes from the word laurel, which ironically, again, is another Hollywood reference to Laurel Canyon, which is a neighborhood in the Hollywood Hills.
Right.
But since she breaks the fourth wall and tells him that her name is Sylvia, which stemming from the root word Silva, meaning the forest or the wild, she represents the wild, untamed, unscripted nature that tries to tell Truman the truth of his reality. So just in like in ancient cultures, they send off their youth into the forest for a week or sometimes even more, and they're supposed to overcome their fears, right? Oftentimes the kids come back from the wild and are happily screaming at their parents, and they say, "I found out the truth. I am God." While their parents are usually like, "Well, it's about fucking time," right? Like, how you figured it out. And that's the entire initiation process of sending your kid off into the woods is so that they can get that. So it's interesting that her real name stems from Silva, which means to the forest, because if it wasn't for her, maybe he doesn't go as far. Right?
Is she the wild woman archetype?
So laurel, the laurel wreath is what Apollo is known for, right? Apollo has the laurel because he was chasing this nymph that decided she would rather be a tree. And so she became a tree as he was, and that's the laurel tree. And so Laurel Sylvia, it's right there. And that's what he's always seeking. The laurel represents constant seeking, right? You've never fully grasped it. You've never fully found it. And she's the one that disappears, and he's the one going after her, trying to get that laurel wreath.
Wow, dude.
Unreal, dude.
Crazy.
It's all symbolic. Yeah, it's all just the fool's journey, the hero's journey, whatever you want to call it. It is just a journey towards becoming aware, really. So
I wanted to mention too, to all that Headless just dropped, Burr Bank, actually, like the real farther etymology, it's a burr is a bush. So it's a bushy bank. So just same concept there.
oh yeah, and the first time they hung out was by the river, you know. So pretty wild, dude. So anyhow, next comes a sequence of synchronicities. He turns on his radio and hears that they're following his every move, what street he's turning down, how he almost hits a woman while he's driving, etc. This causes him to not go into work. He finds that he can stop traffic and seems to the outside eye to be having some kind of mental breakdown. So he walks down the road into a building and tries to get into an elevator, only to find that it's a behind the scenes set, only to again go in confidence to his best friend Marlon, who tries to lull him back to sleep with beer, which very interesting. Every time his friend Marlon comes, he's always bringing a six-pack, always trying to send him back to sleep, right?
It's like, now that's a beer.
Yeah, labels out.
For the
You know what I mean? Every time. So Marlon tries to tell him there's nowhere he'd rather be than right here. You can't get that kind of sunset, those kind of sunset views like this anywhere else other than Sea Haven. He says That's the big guy. Quite a paintbrush he's got, seemingly referring to God. But the irony is that Christoph is the creator of the sky in general. So it's kind of like Marlin is praising the demiurge as an archon of Truman's reality right there, right? So yeah, in Gnosticism, this is called the spirit of ignorance. And Marlin, being one of the demiurge's minions, is one of his archons that makes souls complicit in their own imprisonment. He's constantly trying to lull him back to sleep. If it wasn't for Marlin, he would have gone so much farther, so much faster. But Marlin's the one that's like trying to anchor him in.
Well, what's interesting too is if you think about it, who are the people being Truman showed? It's all because they keep flipping back to all of his viewers at home who are fixated, imprisoned by watching this Truman Show. It's all of us that are actually in the Burbank system, right? We're all in
That's great, dude.
the Truman Show by watching it.
Yeah, it said something like there was 2.1 billion viewers nightly of the show, or something crazy, literally all over the world, right?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is crazy. It's a Black Mirror, and everybody's kind of subdued by it. So
Early Black Mirror.
for real. So a later scene shows Truman sitting in his car observing what's happening in his rear view mirror. He notices what happens is a cycle. A lady on a bike, followed by a man walking with flowers, and finally a Volkswagen Beetle with a dented fender. He tells his wife to get into the car and observe, and the cycle happens again, just as he predicted. But she's not listening. She's not interested. He wants her to see that he's noticed that his reality has become scripted, and by convincing her, he can convince himself. But you can't force someone else to awaken until they're ready, if they ever are. So as the saying goes, it's impossible to wake someone up who's pretending to be asleep, which is perfect for this scene. He then locks her inside the car and says they're going to Fiji now, not in a few months like she had suggested. The doors lock and he pulls off. Then you see his license plate, which is something that I thought was pretty interesting. You see his license plate, which at the top it says Sea Haven Island, and at the bottom it says a nice place to live. The license plate numbers read as 816 KAZ. Reducing 816 to one number gives you 6 plus and which stands for man, which is interesting. And then KAZ reduces to 11, which is a master number that through a Gnostic lens means that awareness is breaking its containment. So his license plate literally reads like man is breaking his containment already. I thought that was pretty.
Wait, you said 211?
816 KAZ. So 816 reduces to 9, KAZ reduces to 11.
Okay.
11. Yeah, K is the 11th letter, A is 1, and Z is 26.
2 and 11, sorry.
Yep. So long story short, he's trying to drive his way out of that town and keeps coming up on obstacle after obstacle, only to be caught by the police and brought back home, where he confronts his wife and says that she's in on it. She feels threatened, and again, his buddy Marlin comes to the rescue with another 6-pack of beer as they go out and have a chat. Marlin convinces him that if the whole thing is made up, then he's made up too, and how could he possibly question their friendship? Esoterically, Marlin, I thought this was interesting. Marlin is close to Merlin. Merlin always shows up as different people in all of the lore, right? Always showing up as different people, pretending to be different people to teach the initiate lessons along the way, quietly and unnoticeably. So I don't know. Maybe that's what he was representing. I could just be pulling at strings. I was trying to find something that, connected to Marlin. But anyway.
Well, no, I think it's interesting when it comes to his friend, because I think all of us have experienced this, especially when trying to do something. I mean, we all create podcasts, we're doing something outside of the norm, and we have those friends that are like, that ain't going to work out. You can't do that, and in your mind, what you're going to do, you can already kind of visualize where it's going to go, but your friends and everybody around you are kind of just like, I don't know about that. I think that's kind of his character as well.
Marlin goes back to the fish again. He's this sort of another character in the ocean. There seems to be that theme over and over again of the ocean type characters.
Oh yeah, and his buddy Marlon is always trying to convince him. Well, you can't go to Fiji. You can't. You're scared of the water. You don't want to have to deal with that. Every single time, every time they talk, he brings up about how he's scared of the water. So it's just reinforcing, really.
It's his old reality trying to keep him in that old reality.
And that fear, in that indoctrination of fear.
That's
if
it,
you-
dude. So
If you tell somebody something, then they'll believe it, right?
yeah, just reinforcing as often as you can. As
You're not prone to questioning it.
On the Gnosis tip, he did meet Lauren inside of a library, right? So he's the knowledge is where it starts.
Nice.
It's literally littered all throughout the entire movie, and so crazy. That's why I love it. It's almost like you're coming into like your own little initiation just watching the movie, which I love.
Something
Dude,
I
I have
just
to watch it now.
kind of realized, or I'm just considering the possibility of. Certainly, the movie is allegorical, synonymous, and essentially with.
Oh no!
Did
It's
I break
synonymous
up?
to what? Yeah.
It's
You froze
just
up.
like
Sorry.
it's just like the allegory of the cave from the Republic, and Truman is the freed prisoner who gets out of this fake, distorted reality. Of course, that's probably been explored before. Something, Headless, when you mentioned the outside audience, it made me realize that there's another synonymous kind of storyline to the Truman Show from the Republic, and that is the analogy of the divided line, where there's reality. I'm obsessed with 4. So there's 4 parts of the divided line. And among the many complex ways to look at it is that there is reality and the reflection of reality. And then there's theory and the theory off of that. So it gets pretty abstract and difficult to explain, let alone understand, but it's essentially kind of like one way I would conceptualize the lesser reality is where there's like a show on a show, like the Oscars. It's like a show on shows. It's like
Simulacrum.
Simulacrum, where that idea where these people are obsessed with watching, 2 steps away from fake. It's just kind of reminded me of the analogy of the divided line. Excuse me for getting off topic. I just thought it was interesting.
No, by all means.
Thanks, man.
Hell yeah, that was perfect, dude. And what I was thinking too is that it's pretty interesting because he's trying to convince his best friend. He's trying to convince his wife. He's trying to talk to his mom saying, I saw my dad. I know I saw him. No, honey, I see him 10 times a week too. Just talking about like trying to say that he's just having these illusions and everything. And I think the kind of the moral of that story is that you have your awakening through your own awareness. Like you can't wake everybody else up along with you, because that creates comfort and that creates a little bit of stability, which is good. But at the same time, like it needs to be had as per the individual. Like you come in alone, you awaken alone, you die alone, and that's just the moral of the story, really. So next, this is where it gets pretty cool. Next, we hear from Christoph, known as the show's conceiver and creator, who lives, what they say, on the 221st floor of the Omnicam ecosphere. Literally, Truman's God that sees all and hears all from a lunar ecosphere, which I thought is pretty interesting as the demiurge.
Moon God.
Yes. So Sylvia calls the show that's interviewing Christoph. She says that he's a liar and a manipulator. He says, do you think that because you batted your eyes at him, flirted with him, and stole a few minutes of the limelight that you're in any position to judge? Literally, the demiurge is arguing with wisdom about judgment in that conversation right there, which I thought was pretty cool. So Christoph goes on to say that he can leave at any time. If this was more than just a vague ambition, if he was absolutely determined to discover the truth, then there's no way that we could prevent him from leaving. What I think distresses you, Sylvia, is that that Truman prefers his cell. That was his quote to her. He then says that the next week's episode will feature his wife leaving him and a new love interest coming into his life. And the love interest, which I thought is super fascinating, the love interest's name is Vivian, who he meets at his office, and she comes dressed in red, right?
Mhm.
Almost like dressed in red just to make sure his attention is caught, just like in the Matrix, the lady in red, right? And so esoterically speaking, Vivian rather is the lady of the lake, known as the water priestess, that is a feminine force that entraps Merlin. Okay, so Merlin actually initiates her into the world of magic. He teaches her all these binding spells and all this other crazy shit, like in the lore, right? But then Vivian turns it around on him, uses it on him, and encloses Merlin inside of, depending on what lore you're listening to, usually encloses him in a tree, in a cave,
In an oak tree. Yeah, dude.
in
Yeah.
a tower, or sometimes a crystal prison. That's brought up as well.
A
So-
glass. Yeah, it's the crystal ship that Jim Morrison talks about. And this is what they ride to Avalon, right? It's this you could say a Merkaba, maybe.
Yeah.
Some kind of, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man.
So
But,
like, how weird is it that the next, scripted love interest is this Vivian character who's going to trap him inside of this construct? That's what their goal is anyway, right? And they named her that, and they dressed her in red, and the whole thing. But this is what I thought was pretty interesting. So Vivian in the lore with Merlin is trying to seal him outside of time to preserve him without killing him. So Vivian binds Merlin because his magic becomes hidden in nature, myth, intuition, and dreams. So the teacher disappears so that the seeker must find it within themselves. They can no longer go to Merlin anymore. So that's supposedly the moral of the story.
You can look at Vivienne as the catalyst too. So the person who gave Arthur the sword the person who gave Merlin the sword, and then Merlin put it in the stone, was the lady in the lake. So in essence, like, she's the one who's initiating the process of him finally getting the hell out because he just can't take the weirdness anymore.
Oh my God.
it's crazy you're talking about.
And we
this,
call
man.
that shit fairy tales, you know?
Yeah. No, we've been talking about this on Saturdays, reading about the orders of the quest, and this Manly P. Hall treatise that we have been reading. Well, it's the beginning of a very large one. It's just the physical copy I have is almost done, but the PDF I saw, I was like, holy shit! I guess we may try to read all this. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, speaking of Manly P. Hall, y'all should have on this guy we had on our show probably a little over a year ago now. His name is Ronnie Pontiac, and he was the understudy of Manly P. Hall, paid for their wedding and everything. He was essentially like the initiate of fucking Manly P. Hall, which is super cool.
It's coming
It's been on before, and I actually haven't come
I was
on.
gonna say, I think Nick knows him.
Get the fuck out of here.
He had mentioned him to me.
He's a cool motherfucker, that dude.
He's badass. Love that guy.
He knows his shit, dude.
Yeah. He hung. Yeah, his story of Manly P. Hall blew me away. Like, holy
Well, I'll see if I can get him on Gray Pill. That'd be cool to get him on.
I do. He's like a living relic. It's awesome.
Nick says he's coming on Occult Reject, so hopefully I'll be there for that.
Yeah. I think it's no. You know what? It's Friday. I think. Sorry, my bad. Tomorrow at like 6:00. Sorry. Yeah, he can only do the day or some shit.
Okay. Well, maybe you can get me in touch with him.
Yeah. No, I will. Yeah.
So
Tell
moving on, there's only.
Sorry. Go ahead. No, we'll talk later.
No, I was saying there's just a little bit more because we're gonna come. So now we cut to
Take all the
Truman's-
time you need. Yeah.
Very well. So we cut to Truman's escape. He fools the director and the show crew by escaping through the ceiling in his closet, which is very symbolic. It's symbolic of breaking through the first layer of the firmament, the first layer of the waters beyond the waters. The firmament comes from the Hebrew word for rakia, which is an expansive structural boundary. He's gone beyond his initial understanding of reality, and he's breaking through the ways of his old ways of thinking. So very similar to the word repent, which comes from the Greek word metanoia, which means to change your perspective or to change your mind. They eventually end up finding Truman sailing in the sea, the same sea that he was terrified of because of his dad dying at sea. But Truman has broken through the first glass ceiling. The things that used to scare him no longer affect him. So the demiurge has to ramp it up a little bit by making the weather stronger. If Truman gets out of his false creation, he will see the demiurge for what he is, and the demiurge will have no power over him. So the weather gets worse and worse, the waves higher and higher, the lightning striking his boat and forcing him out of the boat and into the water. The boat gets overturned, and Truman fights through the rage of waters to try and get back onto the boat. So he's not giving up, and it's sheer willpower that is steering him now. So Truman screams out at the demiurge and says, "Is that the best you can do?" The demiurge increases the wind. The waves get stronger until a tidal wave comes and knocks him out, capsizing the boat. But then, once the demiurge sees that Truman is beginning to drown, he turns off the bad weather. Truman regains his consciousness, raises his sail, and keeps trucking forward until the tip of his boat pierces the veil, and he's finally vindicated. Proof that his reality is not what he thought. He's not crazy after all. Overcome with emotion, he looks down the wall and sees a set of stairs. And so he's completed his journey of initiation and begins to climb. And just before he opens the door, the demiurge comes over the loudspeaker from above. Truman says, "Who are you?" Christoph replies with, "I am the creator." Truman says, "Then who am I?" Christoph says, "You're the star." So Truman says, "Was nothing real?" And he says, "You were real." And he goes, "Listen to me. There's no more truth out there than there is in this world that I created for you. It's the same lies. It's the same deceit. But in my world, you have nothing to fear. Nobody knows you better than I do. You're afraid. That's why you can't leave. It's okay, Truman. I understand. I've been watching you your entire life." And reminds him of all of his memories and everything. So it's very symbolic of people that get like their life flashing before their eyes right before they die or have a near-death experience. And so he says, "You can't leave, Truman. You belong here with me." The demiurge is saying this, okay? Or Christoph. So Truman responds. He says nothing for like a long while, and he just responds with, "In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night," and bows out, takes a bow, walking out of the matrix for good, finally breaking through the outer shell of the firmament and becoming freely liberated once and for all. Because if there's anything that we seek on the journey towards enlightenment, there's knowledge first, but ultimately it's liberation, to be free of attachment and suffering. That's what enlightenment truly is all about, in my opinion, anyway. So as soon as the transmission cuts off, all the watchers just resume life, all the people that are tuning in, and they just ask, "Oh, what else is on?" Like, just move on. Like, no big deal. What else is on the TV, right? And so I thought that was pretty fun, but showing that no matter how many different ways you try to wake someone up, it's up to the person. You don't wake up the masses. Each individual must go through the awakening process themselves. And I also wanted to say this one final thing too. So my first time watching it was not my first time watching it. My first time watching it with my wife. She had never seen it before. She's Brazilian. There's a lot of American movies that she's never seen before. So I'm always trying to introduce her into like, American shit. And so we started watching The Truman Show, and she loved it the entire way until the end. And because it cuts out to him just walking out the door, and that's it. That's the end of the movie, right? And she goes, "That's it? He doesn't go find Sylvia?" And so I just remember sitting there and smiling, and I said, "Dude, he didn't find Sylvia. He found Sophia."
Right.
I just wanted to throw that out there, just a fun little remnant. But yeah, I mean, I know that there's a lot more symbolism to this movie. This was what I got together, and hopefully you guys enjoyed that.
You went super deep, man. I love it.
Spent all day on this shit.
No, it's funny because a lot of what they put in there was of like the demiurge and all of that mindset, but it's so similar to just a spiritual awakening, man. The fool's journey.
Jonathan, yeah, you've influenced me. I have a couple movies, and I think my wife was pretty upset with me because I didn't bring her on with me tonight. She's started her own podcast last year and hadn't done too much on it as of late. She came on Occult Rejects last week and had a great time. It was the best experience she's ever had, she said. So I think it's influenced her to actually continue her podcast and get out there a little more. So hopefully, you've influenced me to do some deep dives on some movies now. Like I have to. I have a few breakdowns, and there's a couple that she actually helped me with. That's why I brought it up, and so I'll probably do them with her. But like The Matrix is one, and then what's the other movie?
Eyes Wide Shut is one that people always bring up. The Wizard of Oz.
Is it Moulin Rouge? It's Moulin Rouge. As you know.
Oh, you should do The Matrix, man. I have a whole bunch of.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about just like a few movies in an episode, just to like go through a little. Not, I don't know. That was very thorough, Jonathan. Good.
Yeah, well, I'm as interested as everybody else too. Like whenever it comes to this, because I'm trying to understand the nature of the mind of the Gnostic, right? And we read the Gnostic teachings, like the Gospel of Thomas. Soon we're going to be doing a show on the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. And to be honest, I don't give a fuck if somebody says that they're heretical and that they're forgeries. I'm like, dude, you're fucking everything that you believe is a forgery.
Hey.
So
What do you do Saturday mornings, man? Do you ever like just hang out and drink coffee and just like sit around?
Well,
you and Sean. I mean,
it depends. I mean, every other weekend I drive out to Louisiana and I spend the weekend with my daughter. But every other weekend that I'm not doing that, I just try to blue pill.
Well, we do an esoteric book review every Saturday morning. It's a Patreon show, but we stream it to YouTube as well. And we just read a couple books. We spin a wheel, and it's Headless Nick, me, and a couple other co-hosts, Subliminal Messenger and Season of the Rat. And it's just like a conversation like this, but we're drinking coffee, reading books, and it's just a good fucking time. So you two are always welcome to join us. We'll have to exchange numbers or something.
Hell yeah, dude. We do a lot of we actually read a few books on the show. Not the whole thing usually.
Dude, we're all about it. I mean,
there's a lot of books that we've read, dude. There's a great book on there if you're really trying to understand magic in general, get into the mind of a magician out there. There's a book called The Magician written by Philip Cooper. Dude, it is the shit. It's like that's really kind of what got us into understanding that the nature of reality begins with the mind. Right, like it all starts there, and then
dude, that book absolutely just like kickstarted everything. It set us so much forward than we would have been if we had to figure everything out on our own. It kind of just gave us all the blueprints, and all of a sudden we just understood shit, And it's like, oh shit, dude, there's so much more to this reality.
I wanted to mention, Jonathan, as you were describing the ending of the people just looking for a new channel, a new thing to watch. It reminds me of the reasoning for meditation, or what the monk could kind of retreat, was to get away from the psychic distraction of other people, which is something we were talking about before, right? And that idea, I think, is really important, that we will and Sean, the way you started talking about how we can pursue development or be kind of taken away by the next thing on. Something I think about in regards to that is, if you're not training, you're being trained. However you want to train, take it how you want, but one way or another. But it made the people looking for a new channel just made me think of what that stream of consciousness.
I think that actually brings up one of the neglected aspects again of the storyline, which was the fact that the archons needed the drama, right? It was all of the people wondering about, will he get out? Won't he get out? Is he figuring it out? That's what kept them glued to their television sets. It's the idea of the conflict of whether or not he's just going to go back to sleep or actually fully wake up. And all of these different forces on the outside are watching it, wondering if he's going to do that. And then once it's over, they just flip it to a different channel. But it kind of brings up the hero's journey, right? Because the hero's journey represents these different phases that take place in every storyline. And if all of the stories have that hero's journey in it, is it not a matrix in itself? You know, that's what we're constantly being fed. That's what we're constantly watching. You can't get away from narrative. So in essence, we're kind of trapped by narrative, because how else do you tell a story without the hero's journey? And you know, if you look at the Hero of a Thousand Faces, you can see that character right there in Neo, right there in the middle of the Matrix, you know?
Yeah.
You are the Aeons, guys. Everybody in the chat, all 230 plus, I did the math here.
Just feeding on our loosh.
30, 55.
Well, in some ways, I think if you compare the Aeons to like, we live in the age of Aquarius, on the verge of Pisces, right? So Pisces going into Aquarius, it's a completely different way of thinking. And if you think about this new Aeon, you can think about radio waves as being the perfect symbol for Aquarius, the watery void, the watery air. You know, we're living in the age of radio waves, and it's no coincidence that it was led into by, you know, the sea.
100%. That is awesome. I just love putting all these little pieces together, dude, because you know, these are stories, like allegories, myths, stories, whatever you want to call them, that they're not designed to be taken literal. They're designed to speak to your mind in only a way that a story can do. Right. And there's a lot to really learn from it. But what I find fascinating is that, you know, you can watch the Truman Show 10, 15 times, depending on where you're at in your stage of your life, as far as awakening and development and all that kind of stuff. Newer things start to show themselves to you, maybe things that you didn't really catch on to. I feel the same way with The Matrix. I feel the same way with Inception. Like, these movies are very symbolic in ways that, like, the farther along you go, the more you pick up on what they're trying to lay down.
Oh, dude, and it's no coincidence, you know, that some of these movies that are laid out this way, based off of stories that have been told for however long, they're very popular. You know what I mean? So many people resonate with them because they resonate with that universal story. You know, definitely no coincidence.
Jonathan, you should, well, I don't know, because now that I've seen what you've done with the Truman Show, I don't know, you may go crazy with this, but you should watch Twin Peaks, man.
Oh yeah,
I think
Tell me that. I haven't checked it out yet.
I start with season 1, and then watch season 2, then watch Fire Walk with me, and then watch The Return that they did back in 2019 or 20, you know, 26 years later, 25 years later. But it's a masterpiece. It's an esoteric masterpiece, and it's Lynch's greatest work if you're a fan of David Lynch. But I did a review on Patreon. It took like 6 months. We watched all of it. We analyzed it. We went through the symbolism and the connections. We figured it out. I think we figured it out. Now we're making stickers, and it's become a part of the show. So
hell yeah, dude, we'll check it out. I saw that
I think you would really like it, man.
A little while back, I saw that Isaac Weishaupt was doing like a show review on it too.
Shout out Isaac. I always give him credit. I go, he's the one that turned me on to it, man. I mean, he's one of the ones, like the early shows that I was watching before I started podcasting, and he turned me on to it, and I watched it, and yeah, he has something here, and it is like there's some kind of fascination that you have with it. There's an aesthetic to it. If you're like, I don't know, it's like if you grew up in like an underground like punk rock scene or something, you'll find it, you know, appealing, right? Or like something like, you know, I don't know.
Hell yeah, dude, I'll check it out.
Like a quote unquote art type of person, like everyone on this stream right now, right? So like someone who enjoys good art.
And if you enjoy good schizophrenia, you should check out Eraserhead.
Yeah, headless.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
it.
yeah, we watched it on live stream. My audience was terrified. Yeah, they
David
loved
Lynch,
it.
man, there's something.
They loved it. But guys, we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. This was one of the best Gray Pill shows ever. And I have to say that because we are coming to the 2-year mark of Gray Pill.
Oh, shit.
It's still in its infancy. It's not. All you guys have probably been podcasting a lot longer than me, and so yeah, I'll probably do a show. We won't do an anniversary show this year. That took a lot last year, 9 hours to be exact.
Cool.
And
wow.
well, I think Jacob came by, and there were a lot of other people there. There was over 20 other podcasters that showed up, so there was a lot of folks there. And yeah, but we'll do something this year. But this is good leading up to the 2-year anniversary. There's a turning point in the show. The show is kind of rebranding itself along to what Sean first said in the show when he introduced himself, the spiritual journey.
Mm-hmm.
If you are a spiritual person and you are having these conversations and you have a stream that you do or a show that you do or a podcast that you do, you will find that you will go through a spiritual transformation. The more that you learn, the more gnosis that you gain. I mean, it just happens naturally. And if you fight that, I don't know. I don't think that's healthy at all. Spiritually, mentally, yeah.
Yeah, dude, you really have to just be in the flow state, man. I think that's how it works. Don't try to resist it. There are so many times that, we're doing an episode and then the very next episode, the person that comes on is teaching us more about something that we just barely touched base on. And so it's like, as soon as you're ready, the teacher arrives, and so you're just constantly looking for that next thing and it just presents itself, somewhat like synchronistically, it's magic in itself.
That's
this
one
whole
of the first things
reality.
That's funny you say. That's one of the first things Nick ever said to me when we first met. He was like, "Yeah, dude, this podcasting stuff is basically magic." And I was like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right, dude.
100%.
A lot of this stuff online. You start with memes, right? Then hypersigils and all this other stuff. Like it's all magic,
Yeah.
Magnetic magic
masses
goes
are having
a long way.
black magic performed on them daily, and they don't know it, and they're giving consent." And that comes with the fear that comes with, accepting what they're told and not, really to the simplest, just saying like not thinking for yourself, not,
Oh yeah.
So
many people are performing their own magic accidentally. You know what I mean? People are telling themselves the worst thing they can about themselves, and they're literally manifesting a reality that they really don't prefer, but they're telling their subconscious otherwise. And so the subconscious mind is taking that on as reality. And so, of course, that's what you're going to see. You literally made that. You created that, and then you're going to be upset about it. It's like, that's the good news, though, is you can really turn that around, man. If you're that powerful to manifest a life that you don't prefer only because you talk shit about yourself or just don't believe in yourself or whatever, turn it the other way, dude, and just like push it the other direction. Like it's so simple. It's you know what I mean? It's easier said than done, of course, but as long as you're doing the thing that you're most passionate about and just following the breadcrumbs and just continue to move on, dude, it all just falls into place. And
absolutely. And
well, look, we have a tradition over at Metamystics. We do two things regularly on every single episode. One of the things that we're not going to do here, obviously, is we usually do like a 10 or a 15-minute meditation at the end of the show. But
when I come on your show, we can do that if you want.
You come meditate, bro. Get blissed the fuck out. But
definitely.
But another thing that we like to do every single episode, and it's always so magical, it's always very synchronistic, in one way or another, we pull a tarot card for every single episode at the end of the show, just to see if, and sometimes it aligns with the show, sometimes it aligns with maybe something that we said, and just it gives us goosebumps how accurate it is to usually what we talk about. So not to put any
This is the shit Headless has been talking about, man. Talking about like, putting this stuff into the podcasting, right? Like some of these, whether it's prayer or meditation or
We had
something
really good
along the lines
results.
of tarot.
We had really good
so many
results
people
doing.
fear, right? Like it's
Right.
so, you hear the word and it's like, well, not you or me, but people hear that word and they're like, oh, like
Mhm.
Trying to get
Well,
you.
Jules,
Yeah.
we did a episode where all of us and the viewing audience did remote viewing on the
That
show,
was fun.
and everybody got their own little results, and we can compare them to see how well people did. It was really an interesting experience.
Yeah,
But,
even
these
like
things can be done.
listeners.
that's so fucking cool, dude.
Yeah, that shit was fun as fuck.
Hey, so before we do that, I just have to say, thing and nothing. Thanks, Valk. I love you. I know you can't be here, but you've been a big supporter of the show for almost a couple years now, I guess. So thank you for the donation. Also, JC with the $20 donations as a tip. Thank you, JC. Love you, brother. And yeah, I appreciate you guys more than you know. If y'all want to support the show, you can through the Rumble Rants, Cash App, PayPal, or Patreon. Patreon's the best way to do as well. I'm always pushing the Patreon. But back to what Jonathan. So do you have this deck?
Oh, we got a card pulled already. Oh yeah, I'm locked and loaded, dude.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're professionals, almost.
Please
Not really.
proceed.
Yeah. We got the Two of Wands this evening, which already looks pretty interesting coming off of the Truman Show topic. And see, the tarot card, I also want to say is very interesting in relation to just how your mind is able to see the outside world based off of what you're thinking about. And so I think the tarot really kind of proves that. But anyways, go.
Oh, dude, how about he's standing in between the two wands that are like the two pillars, right? Getting ready to walk through the
veil.
The veil that the high priestess or the empress that has behind her.
I think it's the high priestess.
Dude, if my wife was on here, she'd be able to tell you all this shit.
I think it's the high priestess.
I walk out here and push me off the chair.
But also, how about he's literally holding the world in his hands? Kind of symbolic to maybe what Truman was experiencing on the other side once he was able to break through that illusion.
Almost in contemplation of what else is there. He literally was holding the golf ball, pointing out Fiji, and it's like he's showing the world he knows there's more.
Are the two pillars Edom? Seriously?
Oh, it's
I thought you said are the West. Sorry, my bad. Totally different discussion. I thought, my bad. She's talking about a direction. Thought she was talking about a.
He is looking west in the image.
Well, the two pillars are Joachim and Boaz within the tradition in the lodge within Freemasonry, and that's in every temple. And between the two pillars is the archway, and the archway is pointing towards Cancer. Cancer is the way through the archway, and that's the summer equinox.
Yeah.
How about that? Well, look, there's we usually like to read from this little passage right here regarding the description of the card because we're still Utes whenever it comes to understanding these cards. But it says a choice to expand your world awaits. Do you stay with what you know or do you choose the unknown adventure?
Oh shit, dude.
So the Two of Wands card is an invitation to ponder the future. A man looks out onto the vast expansive land from a position high up in his luxurious castle. He has already established his position of stability, and now he craves adventure. One wand is securely anchored to the castle wall, showing his effort to build his fortune, while the other wand is held above his head. In his other hand, he holds a globe as if to say the world is in his hands. Where will he go next? The Two of Wands signals an opportunity to plan for the next exciting phase in an already rich and full life. Holy shit. That is so symbolic of the Truman Show. That's crazy.
That's Truman right there.
That's what he went. Yeah. That's exactly what he went through.
So while you guys were talking,
oh, sorry, Heather.
That's the this is Judgment in the Franz Mucha tarot. So it looks like a guy facing the demiurge.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Wow, dude. Yo, all right, confirmed.
To be
Tarot
fair,
confirmed, guys.
a lot of the tarot gets there seems to be a lot of Kabbalistic teachings that are overlaid on top of the tarot. So
I was going to ask you, do you align it with the tree, the cards?
the you know what, we had somebody that tried saying that you can align them.
Yeah, you should. You should look at it that
perfectly.
way. I can even send you a site that will show you exactly how that goes. If you want.
Wow.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll help immensely if you're into Kabbalah.
Fuck yeah, dude. I love the Kabbalah. I love all the mysticism. Give it all to me. Put it into my veins, baby.
All right. Awesome.
But yeah, dude, the Two of Wands, that very symbolic of Truman and the choices that he had to make. Does he stay in his easygoing, safe lifestyle inside of this domed world with, you know, the archons and the demiurge and all that kind of stuff? Or does he have a sense of adventure and try to see what's beyond that? So perfect.
Into the unknown.
Cool there, Sean.
Oh man, I'm telling you, dude, the way they come up, man, I just it surprises me, but it doesn't surprise me anymore. You know, it's just so, I don't know. Definitely something to the tarot, man. Definitely.
Fucking A. But yeah, that's what we got, dude. So look, if anybody wants to be able to come and check out our show, we are the Meta Mystics Podcast. We are available on all podcast platforms, also on Instagram and TikTok, and YouTube. Actually, we only put one episode a week up on YouTube just because we're like, all right, we're trying to build it, and sometimes we get guests on there that say questionable shit, and we're like, all right, we're already starting to build a little bit of a YouTube channel, so we're trying to, you know, just sprinkle it in a little bit. But look, for the people that are out there that really want to be able to support the show, we do have a Patreon. It's patreon.com/metamystics. We have several different tiers over there. We go live every Wednesday night. And it's a great time. So yeah, we appreciate you guys having us on, dude.
Stay Weird University, Wonder Wiz Days, Mars. Dude, I have like the Bard, the Mystic, the Initiate, the Grapist. That's an inside joke. And then we have the Knight of the Grey Lodge. I think there's a Grey Lodge in there somewhere. Has to do. I didn't, may have stole that from Isaac, but it only made sense because of my, you know, the show name.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's probably a different tier than what he has. So it's not the same type of lodge. It's a different lodge, both here and in the other realm that it exists. Gentlemen, this is the first of many conversations I think we all should be having together. Very productive conversation. And yeah, guys, throw your plugs out there. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you got coming. I know y'all just gave your plugs, John. Is there anything that you have coming soon that folks should look out for, that you have dropping? Or
we just have a bunch of really great guests that have come on here lately, and actually coming up, we're going to be having a show with Santos Bonacci, and that's going to be a really fun show. Really looking forward to that. That's coming up on Wednesday. Actually, we're having them on a live show, so if people want to come over and subscribe over to Patreon, you'll be able to kind of talk to Santos yourself. He's the man.
Get him going.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure, dude. That's OG right there, man. That's someone that's been doing this for a while, and who has been to jail a couple times too, right? For like all his for like some of the stuff that he says. I think that maybe just be Australia, but
who knows? Big time over there, yeah.
But anyway, Ethan, where can people find you? And is there anything that you got dropping soon? Any new books? Anything?
Well, salute to you guys. That was awesome. Yeah, I'm constantly doing research on this and that, but I'm not focused on a new book right as of yet. But always looking at new ways to perceive the four dimensions of sacred geometry and different ideas. Headless and I do a podcast on Sunday with Ricardo, and writing frequently, not necessarily books, but so articles dropping and on Occult Research Institute. I'm going to have one dropping about 777 soon. And yeah, always stoked to be here. Thank you, Jonathan and Sean, for sharing all that. It was really fun.
Thank you, dude. Appreciate that. Jules, by the way, I just texted you and I just realized that I texted you at 11:11. Ain't no coincidence.
Ain't no coincidences, bro. We don't believe in that shit over here. Nick, where can people find you and let them know? And man, I mean, I know I don't have any specialties like you or Headless, but if you want me to do anything in particular for the Occult Research Institute, I'd be more than happy. I can give you the Pantheon charts. Yeah.
Get you hooked up so you can enter the site. Sure.
Cool.
Gotcha.
Fuck yeah.
But the Occult Rejects, BitChute, Rumble, YouTube. I do have if people want to listen tomorrow, I do have Magical Herbs and the Cranial Nerves Part 2. That is the effects of a lot of magical herbs that I think people use, and they, I'm just gonna keep it real. A lot of these wicked witches that burn these herbs and think they're contacting fucking whoever. It's probably the chemicals inside the herbs that are actually making you think, and because they affect your cranial nerves. And I kind of show how I think that's the case. So check that one out. It's really interesting to see what some of this stuff does. And kind of like what you guys were even talking about, like NDEs and shamanism. It's surprising to see how some of these, if you just decide to throw a massive amount of like that type of chemical, all of a sudden now will take you out. And it just seems like a lot of these, it's interesting to see how many of these herbs that are constantly used in ceremonial magic that can actually kill you. It's very interesting. So I do wonder if, again, you need a death for a rebirth, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, check it out. It's a very interesting series. So I got that coming, and then I got something on auras, and eventually probably a three-part series on Plato. So check that out. Thank you.
Yeah. Headless.
You can find me, Headless Giant, on YouTube and on Twitter. And I got lots of shows. We've got one coming up on Sunday Trialogues with Ethan. It's going to be fun. And I'll see you there. Also, Alchemy Mondays with Eros Up. So.
Yeah. Shout out Eros. Oh. See her on the Occult Rejects as well. You can find me over there as well, guys. Got our Rustic God series that we're doing next episode. Episode 10 is on Eros and Psyche. So if you haven't checked out episode 1 through 9, you can. It's on the Occult Rejects channel, my channel, or Headless Giants channel. I have nothing. Nobody else booked with me. So if anyone wants to book me, you can at calendly.com/GrayPillPodcast. Like I said earlier, if you want to support the show, Patreon's the best way to do it. If you're a Rumble person, locals, I try to post all the streams over there. We do esoteric book reviews, Gods of the Morning Wood, every Saturday morning. Rain, sleet, or snow, and it may be snowing this Saturday. So we'll still be doing it, and we will be doing chapter 2 on the Epic of Gilgamesh. Like I said, find out Gilgamesh and Enkidu may have been a little more than friends. And Jonathan, some weird shit. But part 2 will be starting the Volsunga sagas. To read about Siegfried and or Sigurd and all those guys. And it's a good way to start off the Germanic sagas. For esoteric book review, guys, also got new stickers, like I said. So if you go over to Patreon, there's some perks that are along the way. Get in where you fit in. Follow me on X at GrayPillPod, Instagram GrayPill_podcast, Rumble, YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that good stuff. And I guess until next time, fear nothing, question everything, and stay Gray Pill, guys. Later.
We got Jules from Gray Pill Podcast joining us tonight as well. What is up, Jules? You're muted, bud. Sorry, you're muted. He's like, fuck, I got to start all over again.
Oh, thank you, Nick. I'm always muted.
Jules, you crushed it. Thank you so much for coming on.
Let's bring in Gray Pill. Sir, how are you?
What's going on, man?
Do you know what an egregore is?
And all of a sudden, she's saying things that start to make less and less sense to me.
You have this legacy now as the handsome faggot.
Buy a Phrygian cap
Fear nothing and question everything, guys.
Yes.
Stay great. Inky wasn't directly his son, since he was an egg birth and came from like an asexual reproduction.
Best way I can put it is she shapeshifted into a reptilian.
Did you say egg?
Yeah.
She grew like almost a couple of feet tall, turned green, scales, big ass teeth, yellow eyes. Dude, I practically shit myself.
Hey, we're conspiracy theorists here, guys. This is Gray Pill. This isn't Timcast.
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning and welcome back to the Gray Pill Podcast. I am your host, Jules, the Mississippi Mystic, the Elohim etymologist, the sound scientist.
Guys, be sure to like the stream. Don't be a faggot.
I look behind me. There's like this 6 foot tall reptilian in my ex-girlfriend's nightgown chasing me down the hall. You don't love me anymore. The sky outside was blood red, and I'm like, oh shit, did I die?
Animalistic, carnal nature that's inside of you. It's keeping it at bay, right? It's stepping on Typhon as Hermes.
It's the Great Pill Podcast, dropping jewels with jewels on the Great Pill Podcast. Time to school all these fools on the Great Pill Podcast.
Welcome to the Gray Pilled Podcast.